If you ever take a step back and just observe the sheer relentless volume of flexing happening around us every single day, it is honestly exhausting.
Oh, completely. It's everywhere.
Right. I mean, I am talking about the endless scroll of social media brand dropping the hyper-curated vacation photos, just the constant low-level hum of everyone trying to prove exactly how successful they are.
Through what they consume, basically.
Exactly. It makes you wonder, are we all just hauling around these incredibly heavy, ornate suitcases filled with, well, absolutely nothing?
That is a great way to put it, honestly.
And if you have ever felt completely drained by this world's obsession with external status symbols, you are not alone. That specific exhaustion is exactly what we're getting into today for this deep dive.
Yeah, it's a very profound sort of fatigue carrying all that invisible weight, that pressure to constantly broadcast your worth, just to, feel like you exist in modern society.
Yeah.
So today's deep dive is centered on a really fascinating philosophical text that directly addresses the root of that exact exhaustion. We are looking at a document written by Swifeng on April 13th, 2024.
Right. And it's titled External Manifestations of Those Living in the Spiritual World.
Yes.
And what makes this text so compelling, at least to me, is its sheer specificity. I mean, it doesn't just offer vague, feel-good advice about being a nice person.
No, not at all.
It gives us a highly detailed, almost clinical breakdown of human behavior.
Yeah, you can really view this text as a diagnostic tool or like a roadmap. It essentially strips away all our conventional modern ideas of what success looks like.
Right.
And instead, it shows us exactly what a person looks like and how they act when their internal world becomes profoundly rich. It's a complete inversion of how society typically measures human value.
Okay, let's unpack this, because Wei Feng's central thesis hits incredibly hard right out of the gate.
It really does.
It introduces what we can call the inverse rule of wealth. So the core argument here is that there is a direct, inverse relationship between inner richness and outer expression.
Yes.
Meaning, the text argues that the more aggressively focused someone is on external forms of expression, like the luxury brands, the flashy lifestyle, all that noise, the more they are actually compensating for a profound internal poverty.
Emptiness, really. And what's fascinating here is how it diagnoses our modern obsession with splendor.
Splendor, right.
Because we are culturally conditioned to look at external flash as a surplus, right? An overflow of a person's success.
Yeah, like, oh, they made it so they bought the sports car.
Exactly.
Yeah.
But this text reframes that exact same display as a massive deficit. You are putting on a dazzling external show specifically because you need to balance the terrifying emptiness of your inner world.
Wow.
The external flash is just a mask for a fundamental lack of confidence. And the text anchors this with a dense but really powerful quote.
What's the quote?
It says, "When a piece of writing is taken to the extreme, there is no other wonder, only appropriateness. When a person's character is cultivated to the extreme, there is no other difference, only naturalness."
Let's translate that for a second, because appropriateness sounds a bit formal.
Yeah, it does.
In this context, it really means function over form, doesn't it?
Basically, yes.
Like when something is truly masterful, it doesn't need to be flashy. It just does exactly what it's supposed to do.
Spot on.
It makes me think of video games, oddly enough.
Oh, really? How so?
Well, if you have ever played like a massive multiplayer online game, you see this phenomenon all the time.
Okay.
The mid-level players, the ones who are still trying desperately to prove themselves to the server, they spend all their in-game currency buying the most absurd, glowing, spiky neon armor.
Right. They want everyone to look at them and think they are super powerful.
Exactly. But then you encounter the highest level players, right? The absolute veterans who have mastered every single mechanic of the game.
And what are they wearing?
They almost always revert to wearing the simplest default clothing, a basic tunic, a plain sword.
Ah, I love that.
Yeah, they don't need glowing armor to prove their skill because their competence is absolute.
That is a perfect analogy. The underlying psychology there translates perfectly to Xu Feng's real-world analogies in the text, actually.
How does he put it?
Well, think about it. If you were a Nobel Prize winner, absolutely secure in your immense intellectual contribution to humanity, would you spend even a second worrying about whether the logo on your sweater is recognizable?
Probably not.
Right. Or if you were a billionaire, like a true billionaire who has nothing left to prove financially, would you still care about making sure everyone sees you pulling up in a specific luxury car?
Yeah, no.
If you were a saint, would you care about living in a high-end, sprawling mansion?
The answer the text gives is a resounding no.
Exactly.
The person living in the spiritual world simply doesn't need the external material world to validate their existence.
Yes. Their spirit and soul wealth are so overwhelmingly rich that everything about them appears extremely simple and unadorned. Naturalness replaces the need to manufacture wonder.
It is a striking concept. So when a person's spiritual life reaches that level of density, they appear completely ordinary to the untrained eye.
They do.
But wait, if we take away the cars, the brands, and the markers of success, what is actually left? Like, how does this internally rich person spend their Tuesday?
That is the big question.
Right. If they aren't buying luxury goods to signal their worth, what are they doing with their resources?
Well, that brings us to what the text lays out as a remarkably strict behavioral checklist for daily living.
And the things this spiritual person absolutely rejects might shock you.
It is an uncompromising list of rejections, truly. For starters, they do not store gold or silver.
Wow.
They do not want any expensive high-end decorations in their lives.
Mm.
Women living in this state do not care about designer necklaces, pendants, rings, or, what kind of bags they carry.
Yeah.
And men do not care about wearing brand-name clothes, driving luxury cars, or wearing expensive watches. They categorically reject all luxury consumption.
And it gets even more specific than just physical items.
Oh, yeah.
They don't buy valuable calligraphy or antiques. They don't decorate their homes luxuriously. They don't go to high-end restaurants to show off.
No.
They won't even, and this one really caught me off guard, they won't even travel across the seas and oceans.
Yeah, that one usually surprises people. Let's examine the mechanism behind that specific rejection.
Please, because I love to travel.
Right. In our modern culture, traveling the world is often held up as the ultimate sign of a cultivated, well-lived life. We view it as self-discovery.
Oh, 100%.
Yet, Shuofeng groups it in with luxury consumption and showing off. The text suggests that for many, crossing oceans has transitioned from genuine exploration into an elaborate status signaling exercise.
Oh, I see.
Yeah. It is about capturing the photo to prove to everyone back home that you possess the resources and the leisure time to be there.
Okay, I have to push back on this a little bit because I know you, listening to this, might be thinking the exact same thing.
Go for it.
Doesn't this sound incredibly restrictive? Almost miserable.
Yeah, I'll hear that a lot.
Like, come on, eating basic vegetables instead of a delicacy, refusing to see the world. Isn't flavor, exploration, and aesthetic beauty a fundamental part of the human experience?
It feels like this philosophy eliminates all the color from life in favor of strict asceticism, right?
Exactly. It sounds bleak.
Well, if we connect this to the bigger picture, Shuofeng isn't actually advocating for forced suffering, or like a miserable asceticism where you must live in a cold, empty cave and eat flavorless gruel.
Okay, good.
The text is demanding a fundamental shift in the primary metric of your life. You are shifting the metric of your environment from splendor to comfort and practicality.
So it's the difference between buying a chair because it looks impressive to guests versus buying a chair because it actually supports your back.
Precisely that. The text anchors this with a beautifully clear standard, quoting a saying, "Utensils should be plain and clean. Pottery is better than gold and jade. Eat good quality food, but in moderation. Vegetables are better than costly delicacies." The guiding rule for this person is simply comfort. As long as clothing, accommodation, travel, and the things they use are comfortable and serve their function, the external splendor and luxury of those things are completely irrelevant.
Right, so they are not anti-food or anti-furniture.
Exactly. They just refuse to pay a premium for the aesthetic signaling attached to those items.
It's radical practicality.
Yes.
But consider the ripple effect of that.
Yes.
Once you strip away these physical status symbols,
Yeah.
the luxury cars, the designer bags, the gold, the curated vacation stories, it naturally dismantles the entire framework of how we judge the people around us.
It completely destroys it.
Right. So without the armor of brands or the immediate visual cues of wealth, how does someone living in this spiritual world even navigate society?
Well, they navigate it by establishing an entirely new social metric, which amounts to a complete teardown of standard human social dynamics.
How so?
This spiritual person refuses to judge a person's character by the amount of wealth they have. They refuse to judge a person's ability by their societal status. They do not evaluate inner connotation by outward success or failure.
And here's the one that really shatters convention. They even refuse to judge closeness based on blood relationships.
That is a massive one.
It really is a massive departure from traditional societal structures where family ties dictate your ultimate loyalty.
It is a radical equalization. Without wealth, status, or even bloodlines dictating a hierarchy, their interactions become deeply intentional.
Interesting.
The text states they treat everyone equally, but with very specific caveats. They actively respect the elderly and they actively sympathize with the weak.
Which is positioned in direct opposition to how society usually functions.
Oh, completely.
Because people are conditioned to respect the powerful and celebrities while ignoring or despising the lower classes. I was laughing to myself reading this part, actually, because if everyone suddenly adopted this philosophy, it would completely dismantle reality television and the entire influencer economy overnight.
Goof, gone.
Right. This text says they actively refuse to flatter, fawn over, admire, or praise the powerful. Think about the sheer cognitive discipline that requires in a world built on attention.
It requires stepping entirely out of the reactive mind. And Xu Feng lays out strict cognitive rules of engagement for this.
What are the rules?
First, they refuse to make emotional comments based on someone's strength or social status.
Okay.
Second, they absolutely will not evaluate an event without knowing the full ins and outs.
Oh, that's hard.
Very hard. Third, they refuse to judge a person without understanding their original intentions. And finally, they will not distinguish between true and false, good and evil, beauty and ugliness based simply on their own personal likes and dislikes or their own position.
It's like stepping off a speeding treadmill. I mean, modern discourse demands that we have an immediate, visceral reaction to every headline, every celebrity faux pas, every complex geopolitical event.
Usually within seconds of hearing about it.
Exactly.
Yeah.
We project our own likes and dislikes onto situations we know absolutely nothing about.
This raises an important question. If you look at your own day-to-day life, how much of our daily human interaction, our news cycles, our social media discourse is built on exactly what this text forbids?
It's probably about 95% of it.
At least. The text is asking for a complete cessation of that reactionary cycle. You do not judge without knowing the mechanics. You do not fawn over status. You do not assume a wealthy person is inherently good or smart.
But let's be real here. There's a heavy price to that kind of mental peace.
Oh, sure.
It's not a mindset that makes you the life of the party. If you refuse to gossip, refuse to judge, and refuse to care about status, you are going to find yourself on the outside of most social circles.
You are, and the text is very self-aware about this.
Yeah, it explicitly states that this person would rather be lonely and alone than be in the same stream and be polluted.
They view conventional social games as a form of contamination. They choose isolation to protect the integrity of their inner world.
Instead of participating in that noise, they maintain an open mind to new thoughts and models. They prefer reading what the text calls books without words.
I love that phrasing.
Me too. It implies observing nature, engaging in quiet contemplation, or studying the patterns of life itself rather than just absorbing someone else's written opinions.
Exactly.
And when they are in doubt, instead of turning to society or powerful leaders for answers, they seek answers directly from the greatest creator.
That phrasing is crucial. In the context of this philosophy, the greatest creator represents the ultimate, uncorrupted source of truth and natural law.
Right.
They completely bypass the human social hierarchy, the experts, the politicians, the influencers, to seek alignment with the universe itself.
Here's where it gets really interesting. Because you don't just do all this for a minor reduction in stress.
No, the stakes are much higher.
Exactly. Xu Feng provides a massive cosmic map of human existence to explain the ultimate stakes of this lifestyle. He outlines 4 distinct levels of life. Let's break these down because they introduce some serious terminology.
To visualize this, it might help to think of the depths of the ocean.
Okay, I like that.
The foundation, the surface level, is the material world. The text notes that, speaking from a human perspective, lives in the material world are the ones closest to the animal world.
So this is the choppy, loud surface where people are entirely focused on basic survival and those external forms we discussed earlier.
Yes. The accumulation of wealth, the pursuit of luxury, the snap judgments based on status.
Got it. So roughly speaking, if you exist entirely in this material world, You are simply considered a baseline human.
Correct. That's the surface. Then we dive down into the twilight zone, the second level, which is the spiritual world.
Okay, this is the level we've been deep diving into today.
Right. The person who rejects luxury, seeks only comfort, treats everyone equally, and cultivates internal richness.
And the text categorizes those who live in the spiritual world as having truly understood the principles of being human. They are referred to as land celestial beings.
Now, it's important to clarify that this doesn't mean they suddenly sprout wings and glow.
Right, right.
In this philosophy, a land celestial being is a state of elevated earthly existence. It is someone who has mastered the physical realm by detaching from its anxieties.
And Shufeng is clear. If a person can simply break free from the shackles of the material world and live in this spiritual world, that alone is a remarkable achievement.
Absolutely. It says reaching this level allows a person to depart this life with a smile.
Wow. That is a beautiful, evocative way of describing ultimate, unshakable peace of mind. You aren't leaving the world grasping at your possessions.
It is a profound state of being, but it is not the bottom of the ocean. Below the spiritual world is the third tier, the
Right.
soul world.
All right. And getting to the soul world is described as an entirely different magnitude of existence. If the spiritual world is the twilight zone, the soul world is the deep, untouched abyss.
Yes. The text says breaking free from the bondage of the spiritual world to live in the soul world is the fruit of thousands of years of cultivation and practice.
That's intense.
It is almost incomprehensibly rare. The text quantifies this, stating it's not a matter of 1 in 100, but 1 in 10,000.
Wow.
Those who reach this depth of detachment are close to gods, Buddhas, and saints. They belong to the absolute highest echelon of human potential and are considered deity celestial beings or super celestial beings.
Finding a state where the soul's entirely free from any earthly tether whatsoever.
Precisely.
That's level 3. But then we hit the bedrock, level 4. And this is where Shufeng places an absolute impenetrable ceiling on humanity.
Yes, the fourth level is the holographic world.
Okay, I have to admit that term tripped me up initially. What exactly defines a holographic world in this context?
Think of a literal hologram. Every single tiny piece of it contains the entire image. In this philosophy, the holographic world is the realm of absolute perfection, the realm of gods and the greatest creator. It is a dimension where everything is complete, unified, and infinitely reflective of the whole. There's no lack, no ego, no separation.
And the text offers a very stark reality check regarding this level.
Very stark.
It explicitly tells us that humans should not harbor illusions about it. It states that it is absolutely impossible for humans to enter the holographic world.
It is a boundary that cannot be crossed. No matter how many thousands of years of cultivation you achieve, it is the absolute limit of the simulation, so to speak.
It is a profoundly humbling framework. It gives you a roadmap for incredible multi-generational growth, but also sets a definitive limit on human potential.
Exactly. You can strive to be a land celestial being by mastering your material desires. You might even achieve the unimaginably rare status of a super celestial being in the soul world, but you will never be the greatest creator.
You are a part of the system. You are not the architect.
Well said.
So what does this all mean? We've gone from discussing designer handbags to the impenetrable realm of the greatest creator, which is quite the intellectual journey.
It really is.
But let's bring it back to you, listening to this deep dive right now, likely sitting in traffic or, making coffee. Even if you aren't actively aiming to become a land celestial being or spend thousands of years cultivating your soul, Chue Feng's text offers a really radical thought experiment for our daily lives.
It challenges the very foundation of the anxieties we just accept as normal.
Ask yourself, what would actually happen to your time, your finances, and your underlying stress levels if you completely decoupled your self-worth from the external manifestations of success?
Imagine that.
What if you stopped viewing splendor as a sign of value and started viewing it as a loud, flashing signal of internal emptiness?
It changes everything.
Imagine walking through the world, only requiring comfort and practicality. Imagine stepping off the treadmill of having an immediate emotional opinion about everything you see online. Imagine being completely freed from the need to signal your status to strangers.
The amount of mental bandwidth that would free up is staggering. It is a proposition of profound freedom. But it brings us to a final, lingering question that builds on everything Shuфeng has outlined here.
What's that?
If living in the spiritual world genuinely requires rejecting all external luxury, withholding all emotional snap judgments, and actively choosing loneliness over societal pollution, does this state of ultimate inner peace make a person fundamentally incompatible with modern, forward-driving human society?
That is the catch, isn't it? If you don't play the game, do you even exist on the board?
Right. To be truly spiritual by this specific definition, must one essentially become invisible to the world.
Wow.
If you refuse to participate in the games of status, wealth signaling, and reactive judgment that our entire global economy is built upon, do you transcend the world, or do you simply fade out of it entirely?
That is an incredible thought to sit with. If you finally put down that heavy, ornate suitcase full of nothing, do the people around you even recognize you anymore? Thank you so much for joining us on this deep dive. Keep questioning the information around you. Keep looking past the external splendor, and we will catch you on the next one.